Everybody, first, thank you so much for joining. I was telling Robbie before we got on, like, I'm on video every single day. I never do Facebook Live. So this is an exciting time for me, though. And it's one of those things where just a little context on me. I think most of you guys probably know a little bit about me. I'm going to introduce Robbie here in a minute. I'm a practice owner. I'm a physical therapist. I started back in 2001 down in Sarasota, Florida. Had a little 800 square foot space. It was a personal training studio. I was not a physical therapist at the time. Robbie, I don't know if you know this, but it'd be interesting for you to hear it too. And so what I did was I said, I want to get into fitness. I want to help people. At a bachelor's degree in kinesiology. I worked at a outpatient physical therapy clinic inside a YMCA that was owned by the hospital.
Oh, wow.
And I went to the director of rehab and I said, Scott, how do I start a physical therapy clinic? I love what you guys do. I've never seen a physical therapist. You guys are amazing. And it was like, oh, well, you get a job. First, you become a therapist. Then you get a job. Then you work for 5 years. Then you get to know the doctors. Then you go out on your own and you build your practice. I was like, are you kidding? There is no way I am waiting all that time. So within a year, I quit my hospital job. I opened a personal training studio. Within a year after that, I recruited a physical therapist who's now my wife, but she wasn't at the time. We transitioned from all personal training, all cash pay, obviously, to all physical therapy cash pay. And then over the next couple of years, we opened 2 additional clinics in Sarasota, Florida. We opened 2 clinics in Ohio. We scaled to 5 clinic locations. We had PTs and OTs on staff. We brought our billing in-house. We brought our marketing in-house. We went through a process that I'm really interested to hear Robbie's process and Robbie's history, because I think it's going to be a similar path where we just had to learn how to run a business. We had no idea. We had tons of patients. We were amazing therapists, but we had no idea how to run a business. And we were killing ourselves in the clinic, not really making gains toward our goals. Our goals were, we wanted to raise a family. We wanted to get married and have money and feel secure. Instead, we were, I was cleaning the toilet and vacuuming and treating patients and doing everything beside moving me toward the goal of financial freedom, independence, having a business that works for me instead of me working for the business. And so we invested a boatload of money. We spent a lot of time. We built a system, learned how to run a business, scaled. And then over time, we started to consolidate. And, now it's still my guiding light. My primary goal is time freedom. I want a business that puts money in my bank account, lets me treat patients when I want to treat patients, not because I have to treat patients, and allows me to provide the community with a better patient care experience, truthfully, than any other clinic in my area. So just to know where we are now, I still own 2 physical therapy clinics. I sold one of my clinics down in Florida. We closed the other 2. I've helped a lot of other clinicians move into their own private practices over 20 plus years of clinic ownership. And now, Robbie, if you would, share your story, because I want to hear where you came from, kind of what made you who you are, so that I understand the information that you're going to share after that.
No, that's really good. And I love hearing your story, and I love hearing like other PT owner stories, because it's like we all have kind of similar paths. It's like we get started, we grow, and then we sit there and we're like, well, maybe we didn't become the person we needed to be to even manage this. And then and then we either sell, we downsize, we get, it's kind of funny when we hit that pinnacle of like, what's next? But for me, I was a Pennsylvania kid. So we went to Penn State for undergrad. Actually,
I'm a Penn State grad.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, because I see it every now and then. I was like, you're a Penn State grad too. So there you go. So we are. It's just watching the basketball tournament. It was awesome. Thought we were going to beat Texas. Didn't happen.
Yeah.
And then the team and the coach left, but it is what it is. So went to Penn State. And then that's actually where I met my wife. So she had a really long road travel. She was an Air Force brat. So it was just one of those weird things where we kind of crossed, linked up. Now here we are down in Virginia with 2 kids. But how we got here before that is up in Pittsburgh. I went to Chatham University. So that's where I got my doctorate in PT. So if you know Will Boyd went to Chatham as well. And then, so there you go. So we got big things happening out of the Western Pennsylvania. So then we moved down here because at the time, Jess's little brother was 7 years old and her mom just passed away. She actually had a brain tumor and she passed away. So the reason why we got down here in Virginia wasn't our original plan, but because her dad was here and he was taking care of a 7-year-old, he's like, I need some help. So we came down after school to help. And it was kind of funny. My first job out of PT school, because I graduated back in 2012, December. And then in January, I started 2013. It was actually for a PT chiropractor. So they had a physical therapy clinic and a chiropractic clinic. And I started to run the PT side of things. And then eventually they leaned in and said, hey, would you like to take over the PT portion? And we just want to do the chiropractic. So, and that's one thing I just want to clarify. Like, my startup wasn't a fresh out of the gate startup. I took over an existing practice with my partner at the time. And we were able to kind of see in our area, like, hey, like, if we get out of the gates running here, there's nobody here. There's only a couple PT clinics. And, what we were trying to do is open 10 clinics in like 3 years and grow this thing really big. And, we started out of the gate really strong. So we went through, we got 1, 2, 3 clinics in about 18 months, and it was one of those things that it was just like, as we started to grow quickly, we got to the point where it was just like, I don't know how to run a business. So I linked up with, I met some great guys. We started kind of our own little core mastermind. And this is where I learned how to, like, coding and billing and how to run team meetings and leadership. And it was like really, really cool stuff that we started to implement in our clinics. And then all of a sudden, like, staff retention started to slow down. We started to keep people more versus the turnover. Patients started staying in longer, getting better results. And then I was like, so it's funny. I always tell Joey, he's like, everything that we teach isn't my success story. It's kind of like, don't do what Robbie did.
Yeah.
So, I want to save you guys some time and stuff like that. But then we got to a point, it was interesting. I was in a mastermind, and they mentioned, they were like, hey, are you in a level 10 opportunity? And I thought that was really interesting, because it was just like, as you grow, you need to determine, do you have a level 10 skill set, and are you inside of a level 10 opportunity? And I really had no clue what the heck that mean until I started to, like, realize in my business that, like, I could continue to open clinics, but at the same time, like, I might have a skill set that could help more people than just the 5, 6, 10 clinics that I'm trying to open in our area. So then it was interesting, because right after COVID, we did actually really well during COVID. We stayed open. Our clinics did really well. They were actually profitable during COVID. I know some people weren't, so very blessed with that. But then me and my partner were sitting there, and I was just like, I think I'm going to go and do something else. So we had like a minor falling out over it, but at the same time, he wanted to stay, I wanted to go. And it was one of those things. We got a valuation for the clinic without giving away too much details. So I had my number, and he's like, well, I'm not paying that. And I was like, okay, well, this is how this goes. Like, we'd get a valuation, we figure out my number, you pay me, you buy me out, we're good. It's like, well, right. So I was kind of held hostage there for a couple months. And I was just like, you know what? If I'm going to go into this level 10 opportunity, which I think is there, I just told him point blank, I was like, give me a year's salary and it's yours. So people don't know that, is that, like, I sold my clinics for like 100K, my shares, 50%. So it was just like one of those things that it's just like, I think it was 100K or something around there. But then what I did is I invested that money back into just masterminds and learning some stuff. But the last 2 years, so this was about 2 years ago when I sold, I joined some other groups, not PT groups, but I went outside the field of PT and started linking up with some lawyers, and we got to link up with some dental offices and got to link up with other individuals. And I was just seeing the stuff that I learned and was teaching, how applicable it is there. But then it was one of those weird things. I just keep getting pulled back into PT. So here we are. So we're teaching kind of practice owners and how to do what Robbie did, or how to do not what Robbie did. So there you go. So good stuff, man.
I mean, I think the principle of success is universal. Whether you apply those principles to physical therapy, to dentistry, to construction, it doesn't matter. There's a way to succeed. I remember as a kid, I had a Rubik's Cube. I shared a video about this a while back. For years, I could never figure out how to solve the Rubik's Cube. And I put it away and I forgot about it. And probably 30 years later, my 10-year-old has a Rubik's Cube. And I'm like, I'm going to Google this. I'm going to YouTube this and figure it out. And within 7 minutes, I could solve a Rubik's Cube just by learning the algorithm. Yeah, it's one of those things that I think you, I, so many others before us have kind of gone down this road. And what I hate, the reason why I got into social media, the reason why I went this direction, because, I was comfortable. I had a good life. Everything is going well. But like you, I was missing this fulfillment. I still love patient care. I'm in the clinic still on a consistent basis, but it's not my primary focus. I realized that I could get the same fulfillment helping other clinicians kind of grow and develop and move into new modes of fulfillment for themselves. And that's kind of what you guys are doing. What's interesting is when we learned the process, the algorithm to building a successful business, the way we did it, what we did, we went through the consulting and we did all that stuff. I would never tell other people to do it the way we did it. It worked for us. But when I connected with Joey and he showed me a little bit of what you guys were doing, I was like, this is the system that I would get behind. You guys speak the language that I speak, and it is a very specific language. I can always tell when somebody speaks the language of business and they understand business. Like you, I'm sure I got a text, a message today, and somebody's aspiring to be a business owner, and I asked them a couple questions and I got the responses that I was kind of expecting to get. And I was like, this poor guy is going to have a hard time. It's just, he doesn't speak the language. He's not in the right mindset just yet. So tell me a little bit about what you guys are doing, you and Joey. And I'm so glad you guys got together because I think two great brains coming together. What's the deal with this challenge? Like, what's going on? I have no idea. I don't know anything about it. Fill me in from scratch.
That's it. Joey's just like, hop on with Tony. You guys will, talk about the challenge. I'm like, all right, man, we're hopping on. So it's one of those things that actually Joey and I kind of like we're doing right now. We were supposed to do a podcast together. So after I had my clinics and I sold them off and I started to take on some clients and stuff like that, for whatever reason, he kind of found me online and was just like, hey, I'd love to have you on. I think it was called PT Marketing Secrets or his podcast. And I was like, sure, let's hop on. And we just sat there doing backstory stuff. And we got through like an hour of talking and never even filmed the podcast. So it was interesting at the time. He was getting kind of vetted, hey, like, I have an opportunity with another group that they want me to come and be their CMO, work for them. But he's like, I kind of just want to be an owner. But he's like, if you got the coaching and you don't really want to do more of the marketing and like acquisition stuff, I love doing that stuff, but I don't like doing the coaching. He's like, it's like, maybe there's something here. So then, we just kind of went, it was one of those things. So I had partners in other groups and I told myself, and I was even telling my wife, like, I'm not doing a partnership ever again.
Yeah.
So, and it was one of those things that, late at night, you hear a TikTok video and it's like, let me tell you about partnerships. And I saw it and like changed my whole outlook on things. And if you guys have partners out there, I'm going to give you this and then I'm going to kind of go in the challenge, but they said that never partner with your strength. And it was one of those things that I was just like, I heard it kind of different ways, but it's just like, if you partner with people who are the same as you, the company just kind of sits there. But if you partner with your weakness or even employees, like if you're hiring your weaknesses, then now all of a sudden you got something really cool that you're building. And then that's why when Joey came on with me, like he is my weaknesses and I am his, and it's works really, really well. So what we decided to do is over the last couple months, we've been behind the scenes helping some owners through this blueprint or algorithm that you could say. And the cool part about it, Tony, is it's for cash pay clinics. It's for out of network. It's for Medicare. It doesn't matter who you are. And then that was one of the things that I sat there and I was like, man, there's like this great divide in PT right now. It's like, I don't want to be a mill. I don't want to be cash. I don't want to be insurance. And I'm sitting there and all my clients were insurance. Like, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, these guys have like $1 million clinics. They have 4 or 5 clinics. Like, am I missing something here? Like, I see the notes, I see the financials. I'm like, they're doing really well. And then all of a sudden, like, Joey came on and he's just like, well, insurance and I'm with cash. And then I started to open him up to, my world, and he started opening me up to his world. And I was like, well, maybe there's a way to kind of bridge these together that makes sense in a sequence. So as we started kind of going through, we mapped out kind of the game plan for like, hey, if you're a startup, you're mobile, right? What does it take to go from mobile into like your subleasing, that little step to get into your own clinics? Because I really like to have your own clinic and you could set your environment and your atmosphere and you could, have the patient experience. And then if you do want to get out of treatment, because there's the Tonys of the world that love to treat, but they don't want to get out. They want to treat on their own terms. It's just like, that's okay. You could treat, but if you treat, but you still need the business to run, you got to put a different person, maybe an operator or something in place. Or if you do want to get out of treatment, here's the blueprint, but then you got to be careful because there's areas inside that blueprint where people get stuck and then they can't push through. We're seeing that time and time again when people come to us now. We know with predictability, it's just like, well, the reason why you're stuck is because you skipped this step. And because you skipped it, now we have to go back to that, clean that up, and then move forward. So that's why we have a lot of people being able to go quickly through it. And at the challenge next week, it's going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night. If you're wondering why it's in the evening, well, guess what? I have 2 kids. They're 8 and 4. They're maniacs, and they will be up all day banging around. So they're going to bed right now. So we could join you guys at 8 o'clock Eastern. So I could be able to present to you guys. But we're going to give you the blueprint. So honestly, it's a free challenge. If you want to do free, if you want to get in and do the VIP, people don't know this, but we give you access to our whole practice launch program for 2 weeks. So it's a trial because we want you guys to come in and see it. And the reason why we do that is because we're finding out that some owners, after they go through the first section, don't want to become the owner that they need to be in order to get to the levels that we mapped out. And that's totally fine. But at the same time, we just had a couple owners recently leave our program, full transparency. And they're like, I appreciate what you did because you just saved me 5 years of time because that's not who I want to become. And I was just like, interesting. So I was like, doesn't everybody want to grow a clinic to like 4 clinics and, be able to take that money and start getting rental real estate and opening other clinics and building wealth? And when you sell it, they're like, no, that's not, that sounds like work. And I'm like, okay, let me back up here. So that's the cool part about the program. Wherever you get to in the levels, you want to run a lifestyle business, awesome. You want to get to the point where you automate and then potentially sell, you could do that. Or if you want to, my favorite, it's called G&D, grow and dominate, you could do that as well. But the key here is you can't have without doing and you can't do without being. So that's why we call our program RehabCEOs, because you got to become the owner that your team and your patients need you to be successful. So that's where we're at. And I invite you guys to join it. Tony, I appreciate you invite me on live to bring it to your group. You guys have an amazing community. I sit there and envy you sometimes because I'm like, how does he get, every time I hop in there, it's like 40 posts a day. It's like, so you guys are bumping in here, which is really cool. So you guys have created something really special. So kudos to you, my friend.
Well, I want to touch on just a couple of things. I know you got kids waiting on you probably. I totally agree. Like it's one of those things that I can remember a story. I was working with a spine surgeon. He had invited me into his practice. He was building a full spine surgery center. So we started to become close, and he was a single surgeon. He had 3 admin staff working with him. 1 was a PA and 2 were admin. And he was doing, I don't know, I'm going to say 3 million in revenue a year, but he was barely taking home 250,000 in profit. And I was like, are you kidding? Where is all of this money going? And we sat down and we were talking and we were doing all this stuff. I'm like, look, you can work a fraction of the amount of time. You can double your net take home without even blinking an eye. Like I gave him all of these outs to live the lifestyle that I would want to live. And he went nuts on me. He lost his mind. He was so mad, so frustrated that I was telling him he didn't have to do as much of what he was doing as he was doing. And I was like, wait, you want to work this many hours? You want to do this many things? From my perspective, it's okay. 15 years ago, I was 5 years in. I would never imagine that there would be a point that I would want to step out. I was so passionate and so crazy about it and so into it. And even today, I still have that passion. I still have some drive. But I want the freedom to know that whatever comes tomorrow, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I have the freedom to completely step away. And like you, we have real estate. We own the buildings that our clinics are in. We've divested into other investments. We're growing digital assets. Like I know my kids are taken care of. I know my wife is taken care of. And that to me, just like my patients, brings me the independence and the freedom that I'm looking for. I want independence for my patients, but I also want independence for myself. And so just if you could tell us a little bit about what the challenge involves. You said it started on Tuesday. It's 8 p.m. Give me an idea of what people are going to do.
Yeah. So, and that's a really, really good point. And it's powerful because like, you know, we just had this call today. We did a sales call and it was just like, some of us think that, you know, hey, when you have a patient there and they start asking questions, you think it's because they want that. Like, so, hey, you know, do you guys do dry needling? And they're like, oh, of course we do dry needling. It's amazing. And they're like, oh, well, the last clinic I went to did dry needling and they hurt me. And it's just, and it's like, so with that doctor example, it's just like, we think a lot of times that people just want to get out of treatment and that's what every owner wants to do, but that's never the case. Everybody has their own why and stuff like that. My reason for kind of switching things up is more because it was a selfish thing that like when I was working with patients, I wasn't there. I was working, thinking about marketing. I was thinking about sales. I was thinking about payroll. I was thinking about all the things, but the person in front of me. And I was like, I got it. This isn't fair to them.
Right.
And then I wasn't getting notes done. And I was just like, I was the bottleneck. So I got to remove myself from there. So then what we're going to do in the challenge is going to be 3 days. And you're probably like, can't you do this all in like 1 day? So we can, but at the same time, I want to make sure that you guys are first, you're open to the information. Because Tony, you just said with the PT or the surgeon. Yeah, you told him the blueprint and he's just like, I don't want to hear it. He wasn't coachable, right? So at the same time, it's just like, sometimes we got to get people to open up in order to consume the information. So on day number 1, we're really going to go deep into actually showing 2 blueprints. Number 1 is if you're a startup owner, either mobile, subleasing, or even trying to get started, you just want some information. We're going to take you from startup clinic and we're going to show you how many folks, how many PTs you need to get into your practice and what that looks like to remove yourself from treatment, if that's what you want to do. Now, also, we're going to show you like, hey, there's certain areas during that time, you're going to need a remote admin. You're going to need a regular admin on site. And there's reasons why we do different things, why we do it. My physical therapy assistants out there, all love to you guys. I know we got some PTs in our group that are running their clinics, a little bit different blueprint, but at the same time, you know, when do we hire PTAs? Is it PT first and then PTA second? Like, what do we do? So we got to show you guys that blueprint so you don't get stuck. Okay. And then what we're going to do is on day 1 is show you once you're out of treatment, you have 3 options. Number 1 is you could live a lifestyle business where you run your business and everything's just set up. It covers your expenses. You could invest some money and we're good. That's it. I don't want to grow. I don't want to expand. I don't want to do anything. I'm good. The second one is if you start that, you got to understand, and Tony, you probably know this, the success curve is just like you start out of the gate really strong. You need to grow and you're like, we got 40% growth. We got 100% growth year 2. This is amazing. And then all of a sudden the space is a little limited, right? We're not able to grow as much, right? We can't bring on another provider because we're subleasing. And then you start to see the same revenue 2 or 3 years in a row. And then if you're not growing, you're
dying,
right? So you're dying. So you got to figure out like, what do we need to do to inject something there in order to get you guys to continue to grow? Or if you guys get to the point where you're plateauing, you know, you always want to sell kind of at the top. So you got to kind of know, you know, hey, maybe this is the time. I don't want to do the lifestyle thing. I don't want to grow. Maybe this is the time to offload some stuff. Tony's here. I'm here to tell you, do not sell if you don't have something else lined up afterwards, because you will drive your family insane and yourself. So you better have something else planned. Because I've met a lot of owners who sold and they're going to start either other businesses, which is great, or they're doing different hobbies, but you will go a little nuts because that entrepreneur in you, you're going to miss that a little bit. And then the last one, I'll kind of leave it as a teaser. It's my favorite, but we're going to teach you, if you don't want to automate and you don't want to sell, the third one is where we really get moving with some things and have some fun. Day number 2. So on day number 2, we lay out the blueprint on day number 1. Day number 2, we need to figure out how to hire PTs. We need to figure out how to get patients, right? So we want to show you guys all of that. So there's different strategies right now. If you guys didn't know this, we're in a hiring season coming up. So it's a really good time. I know we were just in a kind of an off season. So a lot of people are posting in groups. I can't find PTs. I can't this, I can't that. Well, there's a reason for that. So if you guys know the hiring seasons, they happen twice a year. So we got to know exactly when they come. So I'm going to show you guys the blueprint for exactly when to hire. And then also, hey, what does the ads look like? So everybody who joins our VIP will actually get access to that. You could hop in right now if you're struggling to get a PT, take a look at that and start implementing that process. The other thing is there's 5 pillars to marketing. A lot of people want to run Facebook ads, TikTok, this, that. 5 pillars. Joey always jokes with me. He's just like, the way we laid out the program, we don't promote platforms, we promote principles, and that's it. So it's just like, no matter what we do, people are people, psychology is psychology. And as long as you set your marketing up for an attraction-based business, then we got people calling you instead of going to hunt people down. Because my mentor always told me, if you drag them in, you have to drag them around. So, you know, it's one of those things that we want to build a business where we love our customers and they want to be there, right? So if you got high no-shows, cancels and stuff, make sure you guys are on to watch that, because that's going to be key. So we're going to do all that on Tuesday, not Tuesday, but Wednesday, day number 2. And then day number 3 is going to be really cool. Everybody in here, so it's called Unlock Your Practice. Every single person that joins the challenge has potential built up in their clinics. So max revenue potential. So we're going to show you guys exactly what that number is in your business. And then we're going to determine where you're at and then the cost of not knowing how to unlock your practice. That's how much money you're leaving on the table. So I'm going to take you guys through that exercise first, because a lot of people are like, well, there's big expenses in your business. There's taxes, there's payroll, right? But not knowing how to make that number is significantly more than some of that other stuff. So I'm going to be able to show you guys that. And then the last thing that we're going to do is show you guys actually what it takes to kind of become the owner that you need to be. Because I'll leave you guys with this for it, is you got to create a vision so big that your staff could fit their careers inside of it. And I didn't understand that when I had my clinics at the time. But now as we're growing and we're bringing on people into our company, it's like your vision has to be so big, right? You have to create this kind of like, this is what we're doing and this is the way, kind of like the Mandalorian, this is the way, right? So it's like you got to create a vision so big that others could fit their careers inside of it. Or what's going to happen is your A players start to leave. You're like, what's there to work for? You know, these guys aren't growing, but these guys are. So I want to come over here. So that's going to be it. That's the 3-day challenge. It's going to be at 8 o'clock for general admission. We're going to do it right there on Zoom. So it's going to be about an hour and a half. So just block off some time for that, just so we could get through everything to make sure, because we're giving you everything. I mean, we're laying it all out there. But then if you do want to join the VIP, so we're going to give you guys access to a bunch of stuff, but the VIP is going to be at 7:30. That's where you guys could hop in before the challenge and then ask me questions and, you know, answer anything that you guys are having issues with. You'll be able to go live. Boom. We'll get those questions asked, share our wins, takeaways, ahas, and then we'll get right into the training. So inside of the VIP, you're guys going to get access again to our whole course. So we're going to give you their whole course. So Joey actually created this really cool thing. It's called the Facebook Launcher. Some of you guys are trying to learn how to do your own ads, whatever. Joey put all his templates into this software, this platform on high level. And then you guys could just come in here and actually click the campaign and launch it directly from the software. You don't even need to be inside of Facebook. It's crazy. So we have a lot of people launching their own ads and stuff like that, which is cool. And then you guys are going to get all my hiring templates, everything. So just make sure that if you guys want to do VIP, join that. And then if you guys want to join, Tony, if it's okay, if they just comment below and we could just drop the link. Okay, cool. Yeah. If you guys want to join, just put unlock as a comment, and then Joey will come in and send you guys the link so we can make sure we get that. But guys, it's free if you want to do general admission, and then it's $97 if you want to do VIP. So if you consider yourself a premium owner and you want to attract premium patients, maybe VIP is the option for you. But at the same time, general admission is fine as well.
And just for people that are here, looks like we've got about 23 people on or so. Awesome. I mean, it really is like Joey showed me behind the scenes. You know, when we did something similar to this 20 years ago or so, the technology wasn't there. Like we were in books and looking at stuff, and we had a proctor, and it was just crazy. Now, when Joey showed me like how quick and simple this stuff is, I was genuinely blown away. Like there was no doubt in my mind that this was something that I wanted to get behind with you guys, because I know how much busy new practice owners are struggling to build these systems, to figure this stuff out, to try and find the answers. You've got patients that are filling your schedule. Now, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I've got a problem. I don't know how to solve this problem. I don't have a framework for this problem. And so you're just stuck. You're stuck working in your business instead of working on your business. So that's awesome. And you answered my last question, which was, how are people going to get into it?
Okay.
Guys, go ahead, type unlock. I know a bunch of you guys are doing it right now. Robbie, I just want to say thanks. Like, you took time away from family. You took time away from the things that you normally do to come in and talk to us about this. And then, of course, next week, you're going to be with us for those sessions. I genuinely appreciate you taking the time to come talk to us.
Well, I appreciate, your platform and inviting me in, because sometimes it's weird to invite some strangers into your house, but I really appreciate it. And because you guys are going to show up, hopefully, when you guys show up, I'm going to make sure I show out. So then that way you guys get a ton of information. And honestly, even if you don't move forward with anything, just showing up to that challenge alone, I promise you guys, if you implement the stuff that we teach, it will unlock a lot of potential for your business. And, we get people come in all the time and they're just like, hey, like, it's crazy how we go from that, that 40% potential, like David Goggins always talks about, the body's always just at 40%. And
yeah,
we just need to unlock it. And we'll show you some of those strategies that we use for mindset. And a lot of times we default to negative, and how we could actually change that really quickly. So that's why our owners are able to go quick. It's nothing we're doing. It's just that they're becoming the people that they need to become. And it's really cool to see that transformation. So Tony, I appreciate it. Thank you for your time. And I know you had to run home from baseball. So it's just like, we're all just running. This is dad's on parade right now with all the businesses trying to run things. So again, time freedom, man. We have it, and we're going to leverage it as much as we can. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely. You guys keep typing unlock in the comments. We're going to end the Zoom call or the live session now. Robbie, just hang out 1 second.
You got it. Yep. Thank you, guys.